Hey guys, I am back again. Just in case uh, you haven't heard or you missed out on some of my videos, this is just a update on what's been going on. Uh, if you haven't been keeping up with my praying through my pregnancy journey, it's on my blog, and um, I was supposed to update my week 39 um, prayer pregnancy on YouTube, but I did it on my blog. But at 39 weeks and 3 days, I delivered her. She was 7 pounds 6.5 ounces, and here's what happened. On Sunday night, normally on Sunday, just Sunday morning and throughout my day, we go to church, and then I normally come and take a nap, and I just go throughout my day. But this particular Sunday, there was some things that was going on. My church do like back to school supplies and uh, that evening. So after church, when we went to service, after church, my pastor, did the events and stuff like that, and someone in the church was actually renewing their vows. So right after church, we stayed for a little bit to watch that because I thought that was really sweet. And then we came back. We went home and came back because the back to school event was a little bit later in the evening. So I went to that, and then everyone was saying, well, while you're here, you need to be resting. And I just really didn't feel anything, At that particular time, I didn't really feel anything. It felt like as if she was taking her time to get here. So that night, we went home. It was probably around 8:30, 9 o'clock. Um, I went home, and then around midnight was when I started feeling contractions. And so normally, I waited a little bit just before, just to see if it would leave or if it would just kind of calm itself down. But it actually started to get worse and worse. So I let my husband know, like, okay, hey, I'm feeling contractions. I called the hospital nurse, the on call, the labor and delivery, just to see what should I do, what should I be looking for, because it's been a minute since I've experienced all of this. So, and then you know how people always tell you that each pregnancy is different. So not only has it been a minute, but each pregnancy is different. So I was kind of not sure what to do. So she let me know that it sounded like, from what I was telling her, it sounded like that I was in labor because my contractions was between 2 to 5 minutes. Because one contraction would be from 2 minutes, then the next one will come like after 5 minutes, and I was telling her that, and so she was just like, well, come in because it sounds like you are in labor, and we'll check you just to see what's going on. But I let her know that my water didn't break. My water didn't break, but I was feeling contractions, and it was hurting. So that was around 2 o'clock. Around 4 was when we actually reached the hospital, and they checked me, and then I was around 4 centimeters, and I let them know ahead of time, listen, I would like an epidural because I knew that it was going to get worse. So I said ahead of time, I was thinking in my head, okay, if I let them know ahead of time, then they'll be prepared. Let me know what they need to do, and I'll be straight with these contractions. So these contractions that I'm feeling at this point was bearable. It was painful, but it was bearable. So I was able to bear some of these contractions, and they let me know, okay, if you want an epidural, we have to take your blood just to make sure that everything's okay, and right before we give you the epidural. So it was around 8 o'clock when they first, from 4 to 8, I was feeling these contractions. Actually, from midnight to 8 o'clock was when I actually got, they were actually prepping me to get an epidural. So when they gave me the epidural, I was actually feeling like a little bit. It was not as bad, but I could still feel it. And I was letting them know, like, hey, okay, I could still feel it. It's not as bad, but I could still feel it. So they were like, well, if you could still feel it only a little bit, just press this button. They give you like a little button that gives you a little bit more, but it wasn't what I needed, and so it kept getting worse and worse and worse. So I was like to the point of crying. I was just like, please help me because these contractions are getting worse. So so this was just like, I guess, like the resident anesthesiologist. I guess she was like the, I don't know, like the student, I guess. She gave me the epidural, which was okay. She did a good job. But then the senior anesthesiologist, excuse me, I know, you guys know what I mean. She came in, the senior uh, woman came in and let me know, okay, listen, the amount that we gave you was like the maximum that we can ever give you because, due to your pregnancy, your height, weight, and all of that, that's the maximum that we can give you. And so I was cool with that because they finally was able to, get me more epidural after asking me questions like, so so what does it feel like? Is it pressure? And I said, these contractions that I'm feeling is not pressure. It's a stinging pain that I am feeling, and it hurts. It goes from my abdomen, stomach to my back, and it's getting worse. These are painful, okay? And so I was letting her know I know the difference between the pressure and actual pain. And so she was very hesitant to give me the maximum amount. And so they ended up giving it to me, and I was still feeling it in my back, but the pain was not as bad. The pain that it was in my back was still the contractions, but it was bearable. Okay, and then on top of that, because they didn't want to break because at this point, like I said, my water didn't break, so they didn't want to break my water. After like a couple of hours, I was still the same. I was still 4 centimeters, and so throughout this whole ordeal with the contractions and the pain, I was still 4 centimeters. So they decided to give me Pitocin, and they didn't want to break my water because of infection and things like that. Um, so they gave me Pitocin. Now, I know from research and watching a baby story that Pitocin is no joke. It's it's basically a synthetic drug that is basically the same chemical that your brain releases during contractions. So they call it a synthetic drug because it's man-made. And so I know that it's supposed to get worse when they give you the Pitocin medicine. When they give you the Pitocin. So when they gave me the Pitocin, I knew that it was going to be bad. So I was just like, well, let me just work through this. The pain on my back is not bad. Um, it's okay. So like I said, they gave me the epidural, the Pitocin, and during this time, they had already gave me the maximum amount, so I'm okay at this point. I'm still feeling it, but I'm okay. So after a while, I took like a little micro nap. It was probably like a 20, 30-minute nap. I don't even know if it was that long, but the pain in my back was getting worse and worse. So it was to the point where I was just like, this is getting painful. Can I get some more epidural? And they were like, no, we cannot give you any more epidural. We cannot give you any more. And then on top of that, when they checked me, it was to the point where I was crying. I was crying, and they wasn't gonna give me any more epidural. And then when they finally checked me, at this point, I don't even know what time it was during this time. I was finally 10 centimeters. I was finally dilated. So then they cut off the epidural, and so I'm feeling all of this pain while I'm trying to give birth. So the nurse was telling me, I was telling her how painful it was, and I just want to get this over with. And she was like, well, right now you can push, and every contraction that you get, you push. So I'm like, okay, I'm all about that. She was just like, every contraction that you get, push, and that will relieve the pain. And I said, okay, I'll do that. And so that's what I was focusing on. I was focusing on trying to push, trying to um, get through the contractions and get away from the pain, basically. And so every time a contraction came, I pushed. I concentrating on pushing because the pain, it's almost like you lose control when these contractions come, and it was like one on top of the other. There was like no space for me to kind of brace myself for the next contraction. It was just like one on top of the other. So basically, basically I pushed a couple of times, and the midwife finally came. It was a midwife that delivered my baby, and she had like a student that was watching her and stuff like that. And so I was telling her that a contraction was coming, and she was actually getting herself prepped and having the other lady prep herself and things like that. And I guess at this time, as I was pushing, the head came out. And so when the head came out, she was telling me to wait. And I'm thinking to myself, like, I'm trying to get rid of this pain. Like, this is too painful for me to wait right now. So I said, okay. And that's just started pushing. So, and I guess at this time, she wasn't able to really, get the proper things situated while I was pushing, because I guess Olivia was coming too quick. So at this time, finally, she was born. They did skin-to-skin contact, and as soon as she put the babe Olivia on me, on my chest, Olivia started peeing on me. And so I'm like, she's peeing on me. They're like, great, that means something was working or something, they said. And I'm just like all dazed out. I'm exhausted, tired. I'm just like so tired, and my husband was there, and he was coaching me throughout this whole time, and he was getting mad because, you know, um, it was like, throughout this whole thing, they wasn't like paying attention to me. They wasn't paying attention. They wasn't, listening to me, because I kept telling them how painful it was. They wasn't trying to give me any more epidural, and so he was trying to compose himself and act professional. And so, that's my story. Basically, like I said, she was 7 pounds, 6.5 ounces, and 20 inches, and she was born Monday, August 26th at 11:59. So from midnight to 11:59, almost noon, is when I was going through all those contractions, and it was horrible. So basically, check out my blog. It's more in detail of everything that was going on. From everything that I was telling you in this video is more in detail on my blog. The link will be at the bottom, and I will check you later in the next video. Bye.